Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the MMLA Connect podcast. Today, I have a very esteemed guest with me.
Esteemed.
Yes, David Upbin from the MBA. David, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to enlighten us about your journey.
Absolutely, Steve. Love working with you. Had the pleasure of being with you in DC just last week. Feels like a month ago at this point, but no,
Oh
that
yeah,
was awesome, and appreciate all that you do, all that the MMLA does. I know what a great state organization you guys have, and then to all my friends at Lake Michigan Credit Union, peace, love, LMCU. So thanks for having me.
yeah. We appreciate, the relationship and, how both organizations have been able to help each other. There's a lot of people who have done the education courses. I'm in the middle of taking some of those. I'm in the Future Leaders right now. And I did the School of Mortgage Banking 1, 2, and 3 last year. And the difference in my knowledge and my networking and my career from the beginning of last year to now, it's incomprehensible, really. I mean, the amount of connections and people and the leadership training, all of it has really elevated myself, my company, my brand. So super thankful for, getting involved and you being a gracious leader of the education program. So I'm excited to talk further about that. But first, before we get there, let's talk about your career, David. This is what the MMLA Connect podcast is about, people sharing their stories. So take us as far back as you want to go,
Yeah.
how it all started and how you got to where you are right now.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and it's funny. A lot of it has not been very intentional, and a lot of it I've just been very fortunate to kind of end up where I'm at now. I mean, I guess going as far back as, my gosh, even like high school or college. I went to this high school in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, that it was no shirts, no shoes, we'll take you. It was very hippy dippy, and my graduating class was 13. I ended up going to school at George Washington in DC. I didn't know left from right. I didn't know whether I should be a business major or a politics major or history major. I went into business because that's what my dad did. I ended up working at a financial consulting firm, so kind of pure business, and kind of realized that it wasn't for me. And I think the moment was when I purchased my level 1 CFA books, and they just landed like this ton of bricks at my front door, and I opened them up, and I'm just like, my God, this is not who I am and what I want to be. And it's
Yeah.
funny, I actually told my supervisor at the time, hey, I'm 26, 27, whatever I was. I might start thinking about new opportunities. Got married, went on my honeymoon, and when I got back from my honeymoon, she said that they were going to let me go and offer me severance because they needed to reduce headcount, and I kind of signaled that I was ready to leave. So that was a little bit of a self-reflection moment, but in the end, it led me to a rather prolonged job search where I was really picky with what I wanted and wanted something totally different, and ended up at the Mortgage Bankers Association. My current supervisor, who you know well, Steve, Peter Grace, who's a part of the Future Leaders program, hired me into a strategy role. And ever since then, it's just been seeking opportunities and taking advantage of opportunities at the MBA, and whether that is helping out with education, kind of cross-department initiatives, just making sure that I was in the room as much as possible, that if I didn't have kind of a voice to give, that at least I was listening to what the conversations were. And then, maybe in the background, providing my advice or my input. And ultimately, it's led to, where I am now, which I never thought I was going to be an L&D professional, learning and development professional, but I love the education department. I love the team that I work with. We're a team of, at the current moment, probably 18 individuals. And I love more than anything the opportunity to engage with our member individuals like yourself that come through the MBA education programs. And whether that's future leaders or something way more entry level, whether it's single family or commercial multifamily, I love seeing people invest in themselves, taking the time to be better and be stronger, and seeing how I can help them. So hopefully that helped provide a little bit of a picture of my journey here.
Well, I mean, we gotta talk about this. this school that you went to, no shirt, no shoes, no
Yeah.
problems. Like, come on, are you a hippie, David? Is the real question we all want to know.
Yes, I would say probably yes. And I think that surprises some people. Maybe my time in DC and Annapolis now, you saw me in my bright green Brooks Brothers
I
pants.
was gonna say something about it, and then you had pink or orange pants the other day too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, well, yeah, so you kind of need to dress for the moment and dress for the occasion. But yeah, I was out in Steamboat just a couple weeks ago for spring break, and that definitely is my happy place and kind of where I feel like my people are and maybe where my end journey will be. So yeah, you can go ahead and call me a tree hugger. That's fine. Like
I
my
mean,
like my oat
look,
milk and my almond milk. So let's just call it what it is.
I wore this shirt for a reason for this
Okay.
podcast recording
Yeah,
because
I wish I had my Smokey the Bear T-shirt. Okay.
I knew you would appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I think there's something to be said about like people being in leadership that still like to have fun. And, the MBA and you like to make fun, even though we're serious and we are dealing with real issues. We got to keep it light, right? I mean, it can't be all just, you know, numbers and agendas. It has
Yeah.
to be about a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I really do try to instill that mindset to my team. I know it can be really difficult at times, particularly on the virtual trainings, where maybe people aren't paying as much attention or they're not bringing their true selves into the virtual room. But I do want to make sure people are having fun when they come to MBA education. I believe a lot of what we do, even in a formal learning environment, a lot of what we need to facilitate is the informal learning. So, how do people make connections with one another? How do they get to know the others in the classroom? And Future Leaders is a great example of that. I don't want to kind of give away the details of the program, but those team exercises, those kind of breaks, those are meant to kind of let your guard down, have a little bit of fun. You can tell when we do competitions, we're not doing rigid points and it's not going to your final grade. So, yeah, I think bringing your authentic self, having fun with what it is that you do, and making those connections, that's what I try to instill kind of in all of our education programs. And Future Leaders, School of Mortgage Banking, I was just looking, we just wrapped up yesterday, School of Mortgage Banking 3 in New Orleans. So we try to go to cities where people want to be. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I mean, I went through all three schools of mortgage banking last year. I took two of the classes in Charlotte, or
Oh,
sorry,
cool.
one of the classes in Charlotte and two of them in DC, just because that's how it worked out with my schedule. But I earned my accredited mortgage professional designation last year, which was important to me. And I think a lot of people, the education is great, bar none. You learn so much. I think for me as a loan officer, learning about
Hmm.
servicing portfolio valuation, all those kinds of things on the back end, pricing, secondary, being able to figure that out, but it's also the people who are on the back end who need to learn more about origination. They're getting pieces of that puzzle that they wouldn't have elsewhere. And it just makes you a more rounded mortgage professional.
Totally.
But beyond that, I think the most important piece of it, for me at least, has been the connections and the relationships over the education. And I'm figuring that out more as I'm in the Future Leaders course, is that you're meeting a lot of leaders and people that are doing a lot of great things in the industry. And you're trying to stay connected with them too, right? Helping each other. We have meetings with our team to stay connected. So, and a lot of people from School of Mortgage Banking 1, for me, I'm still connected with. We're still having conversations, LinkedIn, text messages, emails, which, I don't think a lot of people realize that it's not just the education piece of it. What do you have to say about that?
I couldn't agree more, and I'll say candidly, I think it took me a little too long in my career to really embrace that mindset and understand the value of connections. And it just makes the job, I think, more real, more enjoyable. And it gives you, I think to me, it gives real purpose to what it is that we're doing. I look back at my cell phone I maybe had two or three industry contacts before. Now it's countless. I used to kind of keep my Instagram, kind of the bright yellow line between personal and business. I've broken down those walls. Um,
Yeah.
I try to kind of keep my personal life off of LinkedIn, for other reasons, but to me, it gives it real meaning. And when you see people telling their stories, when you start knowing them a little bit more, knowing that you might be a hippie, it gives it a little bit more context. And then to my friends in Louisiana or Mississippi who are, opposite of hippies and are sucking crawfish heads that totally different than me. It just gives it more shared experiences, shared understanding, and again, I think really brings the work, whether it's the work, whether it's the education, bring it to life and kind of makes it everlasting. And I looked at your LinkedIn pictures. I saw you just posted again today about Patricia Taylor, who, look, you're a loan officer at a credit union in Michigan. She is a mortgage servicer who owns a farm in Maryland. But the fact that you two have come together, she's the kind of person that will lift you up, you lift her up. I consider her a dear friend of mine. And I think that's what you're going to remember from programs like School of Mortgage Banking, and Future Leaders that make it last a lifetime.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad that you brought that up because I tagged you in that post because I knew we were going to be talking today. I mean, meeting Pat, we got a sliver of who she was. She came to a happy hour afterwards. She had to fly out in like a couple hours, but she came and hang out. She came and hung out with, our group, shared more stories than she already did, and just became fast friends with her. She was fascinated with Lake Michigan Credit Union and just what we've been able to do from a credit union. We service a lot of our loans, almost all of them. And that's a big piece in our industry that has been a topic of conversation, right? Is, should we service? Does it help? Does it make money? Are we able to get leads from the loans that we're servicing? Is it easier to keep those? Those questions are super important right now. And I know Pat, she's one of the nicest ladies I've probably ever met, but she's also one of the smartest, just a brilliant mind. And to be able to tap into that has been, pretty cool.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I didn't, mean to make this the Pat Taylor podcast, but, if I were to I always talk about Mount Rushmores, but if I were to talk about Mount Rushmore of people who just care, I think I would put her right there. And when I say care, I mean people who care, one, about the industry, but then two, about the people in the industry. And she does both. And those are the kind of people we try to put front and center with Future Leaders, with School of Mortgage Banking, with the CMB program, people who truly care about seeing others succeed. And when I think about those, I think about the Seth Spragues and the Melanie Coltons, the Deb Joneses at Citizens, who's the head of the CMB Society right now. Someone like Justin DeMola, who's now at Equifax, who is just time and time again on the CMB prep course. Again, people who care and want to see others succeed, and by and large, just doing it out of the grace of their time and love for the industry.
Well, I can say this too. Pat speaks very highly of you, and she holds you as a dear, close friend too, because you were the one that connected her with the MBA, I believe, right?
Yeah, she was probably around a little bit before, but definitely, she and I have created a bond. I've been up to her horse farm despite my horse allergies in Maryland, which is ironic because I grew up on a horse farm in Colorado too. Oh well. But yeah, no, she's wonderful, and she is an integral part of MBA education. Will continue to be so in the years to come. So glad you two were able to make that connection.
I'm very thankful for that. And it's because of MBA education that took place and happened. So I'm trying not to steal her from you, but she's pretty cool. So,
Borrow. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, talking about MBA education, let's get into it a little bit deeper. You're running it, you've been doing it for a while now. You've been at MBA for 13 years, but you're the vice president of education and strategy for the last 7 years and 10 months, according to
Sounds about
LinkedIn.
right. Yeah.
So let's talk about like why it's been so important and so impactful for you, and why do you continue to do it, right? You've been there for so long. So after a while, I think when people work in a certain job or a certain industry or do a certain thing, you can get burnt out, or, you lose your motivation. There's obviously reasons why you continue to keep doing it and keep pushing it, because you are a very outspoken advocate of the MBA education programs, which I would hope you would be in your
Totally.
position. But, you have to believe in it to really push it. So tell me why MBA education is so important.
Look, to me, it is I love the team that I work with. That's a no-brainer, and that's first and foremost. But the reason why I stay and the reason why the department still gives me energy is the people that come through the programs, and it just gives me the opportunity. I don't want to compare ourselves to annual convention, but people don't attend Future Leaders twice. Um, So it is a fresh batch of 36, 38 new faces, new energy each and every year. And, obviously I want to keep you around, Steve, through the Future Leaders alumni group, but that is so exciting to see that class, the 2027 class, come together and see, where they live and what companies they're representing, and what departments they work in, and what are their challenges and struggles. And it's a fresh, it's almost like the best Groundhog Day, right? It's like a fresh conversation every time, and a lot of these people become my friends. And again, I had that reflection moment several years ago where I'm like, oh my god, these people can be my friends, and they should be in my cell phone, and I should be following them on Instagram and knowing about their lives. And to me, it's just adding to this awesome book that, whenever I do kind of close the book and move out to Steamboat to be, a ski ambassador. I probably won't be good enough to be a ski instructor or ski patrol, but a ski ambassador, that I'll have all of these memories and faces and friends to look back on. And I am not going to put Justin DeMola on blast, but he kind of said to me, maybe jokingly, that he doesn't have any friends in the industry, that he kind of tries to separate it. I considered, hundreds of friends, and that's what makes the job go around and around and around, and makes it so enjoyable. So yeah, look, MBA education, we try to innovate, we try to bring new products to market, but we also have a core belief in what we have, that what we have is the best of the best, and we lean into our core offerings, like school mortgage banking, like Future Leaders, like CMB. So, we're not changing too much on a day-to-day basis, but it's the people that are coming through and the conversations that we have in the programs that make it all work.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good, interesting point that I've kind of reflected on is, I think for a long time there used to be this distinction between like your personal life and your work life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as the internet and, social media has taken over, I think that line has come down for some. Some people still, as you said, put it up, but the way I look at it is, at the end of the day, who I am at work is the same person who I am at home, right? I'm not changing who I am. So being able to just be authentic, and put that out there for other people. Maybe not everyone is able to do that, but I think for you, taking down some of those lines helps other people do that and makes them want to get connected and be a part of what you have going on, you
I think
know?
that's right. I don't think there's any one way to do it. I think it's choose your own adventure. And there's definitely, again, going back to that bright yellow line, there's definitely stuff I would just never post on LinkedIn. I'm probably not going to put work on Instagram. Like, there's just, there's guardrails and there's barriers. But I also think talking about myself in a more open and honest way, allows people to understand me, then makes me better at my job. I think it creates better, just kind of shared goals and shared expectations of what's going on. So, and look, I've been very open with my team, and others over the years, that, I had to take a month off of work a couple years ago for a mental health break. And, I kind of weighed the pros and cons of, being open and transparent about, the why and the what and the when. And, and I kind of, it was an iterative process, but ultimately I landed on kind of the more transparency and the more vulnerability, that I shared, allowed people to understand and kind of support me. And I've been fortunate enough to support others at MBA with similar instances, and work with others in the industry who are going through a job search and looking for new career opportunities, and just, kind of having that empathy and shared understanding and shared experiences, I think it just makes me a better industry participant and makes for better connections and results.
Yeah, I mean, it's important that, in all aspects of what we do, that we have to be mindful of where our head's at. And, it's okay to take a step back and not be full go all
Yep,
the time. Right. I mean, I think that was part of my problem. Early on in my career, it was like 100 miles a minute, every day of the week. And you burn yourself out pretty quickly when it's like that.
totally. Yeah, no,
So,
I totally agree. And um, yeah, I even catch myself doing it at times. And, NAC, National Advocacy Conference and Future Leaders last week was one of those weeks where I did crash at the end. And
I'm still recovering.
I think I even texted my boss, Peter, and said, hey, I think it was Friday, or it might have even been Thursday, just between Future Leaders starting on Sunday and then state and local workshop and then going to the Hill and just all that. I think I crashed. And you need to know your limit. I still want to push myself. I still push my department. I still want to innovate. I still want to create new things, make our programs better. I mean, Future Leaders, yeah, the core of the agenda stays the same, but I want it to be something new every year that kind of keeps me motivated too. But you got to know when to say when and just press the pause button.
Yeah. So I'm going through the Future Leaders right now. Did national advocacy. I think for me, like one of the important distinctions is like we have the MBA education, and it was funny because after I got my AMP, everyone's like, "When are you going to get your CMB?" Right,
Yeah.
CMB next, right? Like everyone was pushing for that, and thankfully, my manager Jake Williams was like, like don't forget about Future Leaders, right?
Oh, I love
And
it.
so for me, it was more about like, I want to experience this and enjoy the experience while I'm in it, right? Instead of just pushing to like get the letters next to my name, like I want to enjoy what I'm going through because there's so much that you can learn if you're open to it and you're present and you're paying attention. And I'm glad that I'm doing Future Leaders now versus going into the CMB, which is on the docket. It's
Yep,
in the plan.
I love it.
I'm going to do it, but not yet. Not quite yet. I'm going to do Future Leaders and I'm going to enjoy that while I can.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think that mindset should be taken with the CMB program too. I mean, a lot of people think of the CMB as this really heavy, lengthy test, which it is. There's no doubt about that. But going back to the earlier part of our discussion, have fun with it. Create the space to have fun with it and create the space to meet other people that are going through the same process. And you're a loan officer, so your strong points might not be the accounting and finance or the capital market side, but I would say use the time to meet people in the capital markets and to connect with CMBs. There's a gentleman from Blake in the Future Leaders class right now is at Citizens in a capital markets role. Like, use it as a time to grab coffee with him and have lunch with him and understand what he does. And I think the CMB becomes heavy when people feel like, oh, I have to do it this year. I have to get it. I think anytime you start doing the have to do this, then it becomes a little bit less fun. So I think with both with Future Leaders, the CMB program, others at MBA Education, create the space to have fun with it, to enjoy it, and to make the most amount of connections from it.
It's been fun, but it's also been eye-opening. Like it really has. And we did a LPI 360
Yep.
assessment that we started going through. And man, it's a lot because you're getting assessed by yourself, your managers, your coworkers, your direct reports if you have them. I sent some out to external
Oh,
partners,
good.
you
Glad you did
know.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get as well-rounded of a view as I could, and it is a deep dive into like who you are, what you stand for, and I think in some respects you're doing a lot better
Hmm.
in other people's eyes than you are in your own eyes. And also it does highlight some areas where you thought maybe you were doing better in that other people think you need to pick up. So
Yeah. No, it's all about how you show up in the room, right? And how you present yourself. And also, I think what's really important, and I've done the LPI before and I've taken this feedback, is how do I show up with different groups of people at different times and making sure you're being consistent in how you show up, what you're able to give to the people that you work with, whether it's, Jake above you or your colleagues alongside of you. And then just also the understanding that you can't do it all in every single minute. So, it's a great way to prioritize what you want to improve upon. And then just kind of always have it in your back pocket. And, we have those cards that literally can go in your back pocket. Just kind of keeping it front and center about how am I showing up? How am I presenting myself? And how am I helping others be the best that they can be? So I'm glad you took it. It sounds like we talk about the SARA scale. So what is it? Shock, anger, relief, acceptance.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're on the acceptance side of it, and now it's just about kind of implementing and keeping it top of mind.
Sometimes a mirror gets put up in front of you. Thankfully, I went through counseling a few years back,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my first real experience of, like accepting what I am and what I'm not and trying to fix what that is. And this was another step in that direction, right? Like, hey, here's what you're doing well, here's what you're not doing well. And the biggest piece of it, I think that's important, is not just, going through this training and learning about it, but it's applying what we've talked about and what we've learned. What are we going to do from here on out? Now that we know where we need to put the work in, are you actually going to put the work in and change those things and do those things? So I'm excited. I'm meeting with my manager next week to discuss the assessment. Me and Jake are meeting up because there's no reason not to, in my opinion, right? Like, hey, let's hash it out. Let's talk about how we can get better, like where we see things going. So I'm excited to have that conversation.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you part of the program too, for those who don't know, is that we ask you to pick an accountability partner, someone who's not on your future leaders team, hopefully someone that, maybe is not, in your case, maybe not another loan officer, someone who's kind of has a different view, different mindset. So, getting with your accountability partner, which look, I think the accountability partner, that's something, whether you want to call it that or something different, just having somebody you can touch grass with and bounce ideas off of on a regular basis is hugely important. So glad you're doing that with Jake, and hopefully you'll start with your accountability partner soon.
Yeah, we had a meeting scheduled for yesterday.
Ah,
We had to reschedule
yeah,
it
you did. I
because
knew it. I could feel it coming.
things happen,
Yeah.
and we gotta pivot sometimes. So we rescheduled it for next week, Thursday. But
Okay.
my accountability partner is
I'm gonna
Amanda Hagee from Western Alliance Bank.
Nice.
So
She's great. I'm
yeah.
gonna put a note in my calendar for next Thursday to hold you accountable for meeting with your accountability partner. So
Hey, sounds good. I
cool.
love that. We
Awesome.
need to be accountable to ourselves, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about leadership and the educational programs, but what I also like to do is let you talk a little bit about, who you are outside of the MBA. So tell us a little bit, David, about what you like to do when you're not in the office and you're not wearing your MBA badge, even though you're pretty much wearing it all the time.
Yeah, or my bright green master's pants. Well, right now, I will be honest, I'm wearing flip flops and shorts. I am a father of two, Garrett 9, Eliza 6, and I'll just say, kind of feel really blessed that it might be the easiest age from what I can see, that I'm out of the diaper phase and the kids are able to pour their own cereal, and, they sometimes splash the milk on the side of the table, but by and large, they can make their own breakfast. I'm not into the high school phase yet of, kind of drama and other, you know, kind of personality. Life feels really good right now. I live out in Annapolis. Yes, I'm a mountain guy, love to ski, but seeing the water every day is soothing for the soul, and love to be outside, and whether that's golf, pickleball, tennis, or an orange crush and some crabs on the water, as much as I can be outside, that's definitely my happy place. And I'll just say it, I love to work. I also, again, you and I have talked about it, I try to make work a little bit less formal and just try to make it not as heavy and spread it out. And yeah, like I was working last night while watching the NFL draft up until 9 p.m., but it didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel like I had to do it, but it was just, kind of keeping an eye on things. And so I love to work. And then, I love what's going on with my personal life. And again, for those who haven't been to Annapolis, it's this little place that's kind of far removed from DC. I think it's maybe the first town where people don't consider themselves to be inside the Beltway people. Actually, our TV channel is Baltimore, but it's a great place, and yeah, life
How
feels
long have you
good.
been there?
It was a COVID move. Kind of thought that maybe we were never going back into the office, and then obviously now we're back in the office, so the commute kind of stinks. But didn't really kind of put those two and two together. So yeah, that was like in 2021, and actually did a major renovation on the house and used that opportunity. We spent 3 months up on Cape Cod, which during the winter months during COVID, and that was just an incredible experience where we just felt like we were at the edge of the earth and able to go out on the beaches in November and sweaters and shorts or whatever it was, and kind of just
Yeah.
enjoy nature and kind of take advantage of the moment that we had. So life
I,
feels good right now.
I didn't realize it, but I went through a renovation, moved out to the country during the same time. I had a COVID move. I was like, you know what? I want land. I want to get out of here. Like I got a pond and a creek. So it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it,
Well, and you live
instead of
in
being
such a beautiful part of the country, and I think I told you this. I'm coming up to Traverse City in August. I love your neck of the woods, and yeah, I'm a big fan of space, big fan of water, a big fan of kind of just being out in it.
being outside.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, there's something that like I do want to talk about, and I think it's an opportunity for you to set the record straight because there are some people who are haters out there of the
Oh,
NBA,
ah,
right? I mean, and they're pretty loud, right? So, what is the NBA's ultimate goal? What are you guys trying to do, and what do you have to say about the people who are giving you crap out there?
man, I wish I could pull in like a Justin Wiseman or Pete Mills from the policy team right now. Look, I think, man, my public affairs team.
Did I catch you off guard?
Look, NBA. What I say to non-members all the time is that we're going to keep working for you no matter what. That we're going to keep advocating for the best outcome for the industry. We're going to keep providing education. We're going to keep providing research, news, networking opportunities. We just want you to be a part of the effort and part of the mission. I realize that sometimes it is about dollars and cents and budgets and kind of keeping the lights on, particularly in years like these, in the past couple of years. I'm definitely not going to wade into the policy side of the disagreements. That's just me stepping outside of kind of my comfort zone, my lane. But I do believe, and this is a mindset and a mantra that I take, is kind of no matter where you sit in an organization, no matter the size of your organization, whether you service your loans or don't service your loans, that we'll find a place for you at the MBA. I really do try to make that truly applicable with MBA education. And if you feel like you can't afford a program, let me help you. And we can figure out a way that I try to make this as big of a tent as possible. So hopefully that helps answer your question a little bit. And maybe I could have someone from the policy team on your next podcast to do more of the kind of the
Yeah.
policy yin and yang and where those disagreements lie. But yeah, for the non-members out there, just know that I'm still working for you, and I'm trying to kind of create the best educational platform to serve the widest swath of the industry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an unpaid advocate of the
Okay.
NBA, so I want to say that
Yep.
right now. From my experience, as I reflect on it, everybody that I've come into contact with at the NBA has been 100% invested in helping me or helping the industry. And I think when you create an atmosphere like that, you're going to do nothing but good.
Absolutely.
So for the people who haven't been directly involved with the MBA or haven't had the opportunity to take a course or be a part of it, every one of my instructors, every one of the people I've met in the classes, they've all been, nothing but great people and willing to help out. And I think that's the biggest difference is there are a lot of scarcity mindset people out there who want to keep things hold things tight to their chest or not give away their trade secrets. But I found that at the NBA, everyone has been open and honest and willing to share and willing to give away their secrets, if you will.
Well, and I'll reaffirm that and echo that. Look, we've got 2,000, give or take, member companies, 800-ish residential lender members, either servicers or pure lenders. That's a lot of companies. That's a lot of voices. And if you look at our Friday advocacy update that comes out, you'll see that we list the cell phone numbers or the phone numbers for Bob, our CEO, for Bill Kilmer, our chief lobbyist, Pete Mills, Mike Frattantoni. I'll go on and on down the list. Like, we're here for you, and we want to hear from you. And people at the MBA are waking up every morning, again, whether you're a member or not, working for the industry. And so just, know that I try to take the same mindset. Like, you see me, Steve, with my email signature, it has my cell phone in there. You've seen me say to people, hey, text me, DM me, whatever it is. Like, we're here for you.
Yeah.
So hopefully that resonates for most of you. And I'm glad that you kind of see that in School of Mortgage Banking and Future Leaders. And hopefully you see that in all other aspects of what we do at the MBA.
Before I get to the final question here, I meant to bring this up in the course. Can we change the name of the Future Leaders course?
Yeah, which is funny. I mean, so Christy Sukamnit is CMB, who's our kind of de facto lead of the residential program, Rodrigo Lopez being on the commercial side. She mentioned that to me as well. I'm not going to commit now. I do understand it. I do believe that leadership is any moment of any time at any point in your career. So this is kind of maybe a polished answer. It is about thinking about your future as a leader. So see how I flipped it on its head there?
Yeah.
And what are you going to be doing better? What are you going to be investing in? And what are you going to be focusing on as you move forward? And whether that's at your company, at LMCU, or in the industry, or at the MMLA, is what does the future hold for you as a leader? Yeah, look, this program, I mean, last year in the commercial, no, we have someone in their early mid-20s in Future Leaders this year. So the age gap
He's on my team.
Yep.
Are you talking about Michael Tuozo?
I am, from Lennar. And look, and his journey might be different than your journey. It might be different than Courtney Dodd's journey. It might be different than whoever's journey. And wherever you are in that journey, Future Leaders hopefully is for you. If anyone listening to this has questions about why, when, is it applicable for me, I'm more than happy to jump on a call. And I'll just be honest that, I may say to some people that it's not maybe for you in the moment, and that's okay too. So that was my answer to changing the name.
We got to wrap this up here soon. We leave everyone with something positive on this podcast. So David Upbin, tell us what your one positive thing is that you can leave our listeners with.
Oh my goodness. Rosebud thorn. We do that at my table. My rose is that there's just so much opportunity out there to go out and get it. And whether that's in personal life or work, I try to bring that mindset every single day. Opportunity to meet new people, opportunity to learn new things, opportunity to trip and fall a little bit and do better. So that's my mindset, and that's my positive, is that even when maybe the days are feeling a little heavy, there's opportunity to make things better.
There's always hope.
Yep.
So there you go. You heard it from David. Thank you for joining us and listening to another episode of the MMLA Connect podcast. If you're not an MBA member, hopefully this, is your thing that gets you to move forward with it. I'd love to answer any questions. You can contact me via phone or email. And if you're interested in the learning programs as well, they're second to none. I can attest to that personally. So keep it up, David. I'm looking forward to finishing the Future Leaders program and what it has the rest of this year and the connections that I can make. But I truly do appreciate all the time and the energy and the effort and being able to answer my text messages, because he does. We do text. So
even do restaurant recommendations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks for listening to the podcast.
You're great.
Thanks, David.
Appreciate it.